Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom coming to you from Liverpool and I'm back for another Eurovision analysis video. Today I'm finally going to commit to 10 qualifiers who I think will qualify from semi-final number 1, which is happening tonight. I'm going to go through each of them and tell you why I think they are or are not qualifying. So let's kiki. Okay, so as before, I'm going to have my list of countries based on if I think they're definite yes, likely no, borderline, likely or definitely no. This is so difficult for me to do. Honestly, I was going through with all my magnets last night, trying different combinations. I was trying to do it in a very analytical way, kind of trying to take all the emotion out. And then I was also going on my gut reaction, watching the songs, and then approaching it in a more emotional feeling type of way as well. I kept on coming up with like all these totally different combinations before I get into the heartbreaking stuff. I honestly haven't gotten my final 10. I'm actually going to reason it out with you and make a decision live on camera. Let's get the easy ones out of the way. We know for sure that Lorraine is qualifying. That's definitely happening. No worries there. Please don't fall over. We also know that Käärijä from Finland is going through. Also very obvious. And based on the dress rehearsals I saw, I'm also saying that Israel is now definite. I think I might have had her as a likely before. I'm so worried this is going to fall over and then my life ends. So those are the easy three. I'm also very, very confident in Norway, Alessandra, even though I think the staging isn't massively ambitious. It's not a huge elevation from MGP. I think the song is just so strong. The streaming numbers for this have been really, really exceptional. I did very well in the press poll and in the audience poll yesterday. So even though it was first, people still remembered it. Norway have an incredible qualification record. I think this is going through. Could it be a shock qualifier? Maybe, potentially, because it's in the first running order slot. Remember what happened to Runella last year with Secret from Albania. So yeah, look, it's not impossible. If she misses a couple of notes or something like that, it's not impossible. So for that reason, I'm putting it as a likely yes. It's very, very, very likely, but like I can see a very, very tiny possibility that this could be a shot on qualifier. Okay, another likely yes for me is Czechia. I was very iffy about this with the pre-parties. I thought that their chemistry looked a little bit off. Their energy and confidence was also not exactly where I needed it to be. They've massively improved this. I'm so impressed by how much work they've put in. The choreography looks great. Their energy is great. Their synergy and teamwork is really, really excellent as well. This is very meticulously planned. All their movements around the stage, but it doesn't look too choreographed. The visuals are really excellent. I love the color story. Czech delegation once again serving a really beautiful and put together performance. Really, really impressed by how they have taken away a lot of the doubt that I have by how strong this is. I hope this gets appreciated for what it is. Really, really beautiful, great message, really well delivered. I'm putting this as a likely yes. You know, there is that slight doubt in my head that people at home might not get it or might think it's a bit too out there, something like that. If everything is right with the world, it should be going through. These are all the easy ones, by the way. I have no definite no's this year. I think that this semi-final is very much open. Also because there's only 15 people, it's hard to say nobody's going through. I think if you had like a 18 or 19 person semi-final, it's easier to say, look, this is just out. But in smaller semi, I just don't think you can do that. One of my likely no's is Azerbaijan. I think there's definitely an audience for this. I just wonder, is the audience for this the type of people who watch Eurovision? And will there be enough of them? And will there be more of them than there are for other countries? Staging wise, I don't think they went for anything particularly wild or ambitious. That would have made it really stand out either. So, and unfortunately my other likely no is Ireland. Look, if they can get an anthemic feel going, yeah, this could possibly go through, but really LED wise and like visuals and stuff, it's not one of the top 10. And then song wise, I don't think it's top 10. Performers, I think that they're good. I know this song is really popular with British people, but the UK isn't voting in the semi-final, neither is Australia. So the kind of people who would get this big points aren't there. You know, its running order isn't bad. It's a bit of sanity before Croatia. Very, very happy for them if they come through. If they manage to come through the semi-final, I'd be so impressed because it's such a difficult semi, but I would find it very surprising. Okay, now this is where it starts to get like absolutely freaking messy. Yeah, this is the last one I'm feeling kind of confident about, and that is Pasha from Moldova. Now, one thing I'm going to say is he's in my hotel, so I'm a little bit worried about saying he won't qualify. That's not what I'm putting through, I'm joking. Look, I was a little bit worried that this was going to get squashed out by Loreen and Noah because they've got two spectacular shows, but I think that the overlap in who would vote for this anyway is different from those two. I think it's got a real ethnic feel. It's a male-led song. It stands out between them anyway. This could potentially be a shock non-qualifier. I also am conscious of the fact that a lot of people tend to underestimate Moldova in general in Eurovision. Like Hey Mama was underrated. Trenella Tool, I could never say that, was also underrated. My Lucky Day was underrated before we saw the staging, so I'm trying to factor that in as well. I think this looks really beautiful. It looks very editorial. I love the campfire feel that we're getting and this kind of timeless prehistoric Game of Thrones. I love the symmetry. There's like very good symmetry in the camera cuts. It sounds different. I think the song is good. I don't think it's massively strong, but I don't think it's going to get washed out by the two women on either side of them. and that's why I'm going to put them through. But I'm putting them through as a borderline yes. And I have to admit, I did go through a couple of stages yesterday where I thought this could be a shock non-qualifier. Okay, now here's one I got to be honest. This is breaking my heart. Luke Black from Serbia. Where am I going to put him? Okay, so I'm pretty sure Switzerland are going to give him 12 points because I believe there's a Serbian diaspora there. I think Croatia will give good points as well. I'm a little bit worried that this is a bit too out there for some people, a bit too experimental, a bit too different. It's gone down okay in the community. Apparently it got a frosty reception in the arena yesterday. Now, one thing I'll say about it, on the TVs it sounded great. It sounded really bassy, but apparently in the arena it was kind of hard to hear, and this had the worst response from the audience. One thing I remember when I was in Tel Aviv watching Sebi from Slovenia was how everyone in the audience did not like it at all. Everyone started talking. You know the way when you're in a concert and everyone's like completely talking over the song while it's happening? It was like that. Like, I would say 5% of the audience was actually listening to what was happening. People were chatting, getting drinks, going to the toilet. Like, it was a toilet break for everyone apart from the diehard Euro fans in the pit. And I was like, oh God, this is bombing. Next thing I know, it totally qualified, and then the results came out and they came 5th in that semi-final with the televote. So what translated in the arena and what translated home are totally different, and really what happens at home is what matters. So I think this looked great on the TV. It sounded great. It's really striking visuals. It's going to stand out. I'm still not as sure about this as I used to be. Like I said, I really appreciate that 12 from Switzerland and Croatia. If it happens, that'll really help them on the way. People just might not get this, and I'm worried about it, but basically I love it so much I'm not willing to say that it's not going through. I have had favourites not qualify before. Verona didn't qualify in 2017, and also Roxen, my number 2 in 2021, didn't qualify, but I actually called that. I felt comfortable enough to say, look, this was so obvious that I said that it wasn't going to go through. I'm not comfortable enough to say that this isn't going through. I'm just not willing to do that. But yeah, like realistically, I think this has a chance to be a shock non-qualifier. And 3rd in the running order, Constractor managed to qualify from there last year, but it's not a great running order slot. It has the worst qualification rate of any running order slot, so I'm worried. I'm going to see what I can do to try and drum up support for this later on Twitter. Okay, so I need to put 3 more people out from Malta, Croatia, Latvia, Netherlands, Switzerland and Portugal. Let's talk about Mimica from Portugal. Now, look, I've said that her staging is pretty bare and minimalist, but her performance is spectacular and she's really incredible. And I wonder, are people at home going to care that there's no LEDs? Or are they just going to think, wow, this is quite different and distinct and unique and fun, and she's really cool and she's really magnetic? Will they matter that there's no LEDs in the background and it's quite black? Does that actually favour her because it puts all the attention onto her instead, and there's no distractions or anything like that? This is frustrating for me because I feel like if the LEDs had come through, look, complicated stuff happened. They submitted their request for LEDs and they weren't happy with them. So they've been a little bit let down in that way. I would find this really sad if that didn't qualify because of this. And I think if it ends up coming 11th, I think you would be pretty safe in saying that is the reason why. It should be much safer than it is, but despite the LEDs, I think that she's so strong. I'm still putting it through as a borderline yes. I actually really like her dress and staging. Actually, the dancers are great as well. They give great energy to the performance as well. This is a really interesting experiment for me. How important are LEDs in staging? Can you get through with minimalist? 5 magnets left behind me, but only 3 places. No, I don't have only 2 places left. Terrible. It just depends how I approach this now. Do I go really analytical? Do I go emotional? I don't know. What do I just go as a fan? My gut reaction. I'm still thinking that, let's talk about Croatia. I still think that they're going to probably go through. These visuals are really strong. The first minute really drags, but the finale is really spectacular. It's got a good running order slot. It's 7th. It's between Ireland and Switzerland, so it's really going to stand out between those two, which are kind of like very, very different from it in a lot of ways. It's going to be definitely very memorable. Yeah, look, I'm not as confident about this as I was before. I really do think that first minute lets it down. I feel like they should have brought the tractor on or done something. I know that they're staying in the line because it's kind of giving like a military vibe, but I think something else could have happened. I'm still going to put it through. I am a little bit concerned that the craziness of Caria will give people their dose of crazy, because you know people do like these like fun out there really wild entries that are kind of like totally like no inhibitions, but Caria fulfills that. So that's one concern I have, is that I've got my dose of something wild. I don't need to vote for this. That's one of the reasons I think it could non-qualify, but look, I've stuck with them for so long. I'm just not changing my mind this late. I'm going to put them through, which means I only have 1 place left for these 4 countries. We've got Switzerland, Latvia, Malta and Netherlands. Okay, let's talk about the pros and cons for each one and we'll help work it out. Okay, Latvia. The stunning is absolutely staging. I keep saying that. The staging is absolutely stunning. Really, really beautiful. best staging that Latvia's had since ages, since 2015 Love Injected. I'm wondering, am I letting that emotion take over? Wishful thinking that I want this to go through. It feels justified, it feels like justice. There's no justice in this. The casual viewer doesn't know that they're on a 5-9 qualification streak, they don't care. But this is super niche. If people who like Suede or Muse or that kind of indie music come in, this is the best indie song. It's the most indie song. It's the best indie song in the semi-final. Are these people going to show up and watch the competition? Do these people tend to watch Eurovision? I don't know. If they do, this is their winner, absolutely, and it goes through. So the biggest question for me is, are people from these countries who like that type of music going to tune in and watch this? And that's the difficult part, because how can I possibly predict who's going to tune in and watch the show? And this is the fun thing with the televote, there is an unpredictability to it, as opposed to the jury, which it feels a little bit easier to read. Sometimes there's just a little bit of randomness going in. It's almost like rolling a dice. What number are you going to roll? This should qualify. Sometimes nice things don't happen. I'm going to push for it to qualify. I'm going to tweet about it later. Malta, let's talk about Malta. Oh God, I put myself in a role. This is a nightmare. Look, this is so much fun. Really good song. The saxophone riff is amazing. I think it's a better saxophone riff than what Hey Mama had. This brings energy, it's vivacious. The staging's had a lot of thought and effort put into it. I think it looks mostly good. There's a couple of bits that could be ironed out. The costume reveal is fantastic. So look, this again should go through. One statistic that's bothering me is that since 2 semi-finals started in 2008, we haven't had the first, second and third song all qualify in the top 10. We did have one time where there was a golden jury qualifier, which is when the jury used to be able to put down a lower ranked song, but we've never had 3 in the top 10. Now, if that was ever to happen, it would happen in a smaller semi-final where there are only 15 people. So this could be the year where 1, 2, 3 qualifies, which is Norway, Malta, Serbia. Or maybe it just might be 1, 2, and Serbia might be a shock non-qualifier, and this will go through. This is super fun. I can see that this is the type of song that the general public will like more than the Eurovision bubble. I wonder again, are people going to be maxed out on fun from Karia and Croatia that they'll forget this? Because if they think that's more fun and it's more recent, are they just going to forget about this? And it's consistently low in the odds, and it's low in ranking lists, and it's low in the press poll and the audience poll. I'm like, I still think this could be a Hey Mama moment, which people wrote off that song, wasn't particularly popular, and then came third in the actual televote in the final. Is this going to be a similar thing? I totally think it could be, and I really, really want to put it through as a shock qualifier. Netherlands. Look, again, I feel like I want to put this through because I want to emphasize how much better this is, and how much I appreciate their growth and perseverance through a lot of troubled times, and how much I admire them for that. But again, that's an emotion that's just not relevant to the performance, really. I think there's great vulnerability in it. I think it's very minimalist and beautiful. Some vocal bits are a tiny bit off as well. It's actually not that far off from Portugal. I can see this going through, but I just feel like it's an emotional decision if I put it through, that I'm trying to support them and I'm trying to get across to you how impressed I am that they've done such a great job, considering where their mental state must have been 2 weeks ago. And then the last one is Switzerland. This is definitely a flashy performance. It's very slick, very elegant, maybe a little bit too detached, but this did really well in the press poll yesterday. I think it's a great song. I think people like the message. His vocals are fantastic, although sometimes he seems a little bit stiff in his choreography. Sacha Jean-Baptiste has got a great record for squeaking songs in to the final. Could this be her downfall though, just because the semi-final is so difficult? A lot of people are saying that like one of these will go through, but I think it potentially neither of them could go through, and that's not because they're ballads. I'm not saying that ballads can't go through. It's more just the strength of the song. I think a really strong ballad can go through very, very easily. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into the mentality that has to be one or the other. It could be both. It could be neither. I'm trying to not make it into like this battle that just doesn't actually exist in real life. My God, which of those 4 am I going to put through? Let's start by eliminating someone. This is terrible. I feel like an awful person. I'm going to eliminate Netherlands. I'm just going to say that feeling of redemption and improvement is not going to be felt by the audience because they don't have a backstory. They don't have that starting point, and for them it's just any other song and they don't feel it. It's got a good running order. It's second last. After checking before Karia could stand out between them or could get washed out. This is such a hard semi. Like, this borderline section is just you could totally swap it and it would totally make sense to me. Okay, I'm also think that my Latvia thing is just wishful thinking. I'm going to do... Sorry, Martin Austral, I'll just walk by. Didn't want to say anything that would get me in trouble. I totally want to be wrong about this. Please make me wrong. If you're watching this, please vote for this and make me wrong. please. I want this record to go. They haven't qualified in 5 years. I'm hoping Irish diaspora, there is Latvians in Ireland, will come out for them. I'm just thinking other diaspora. I don't know if the Nordics have a big Latvian diaspora. I really would love the Latvian diaspora to come out and support this. Really pretty. And then it's this case, are there going to be enough indie fans who tune in and fall in love with this? I just don't know if there's enough of those people watching. But then that also just shows to me how emotional this is. I'm not being rational, I'm being emotional with it. I'm not a robot, you know. I am a person, I have a heart. Okay, I've got 2 left, Malta and Switzerland. How did it come down to Malta and Switzerland? This, by the way, this didn't happen in any of my previous, every time, if I did this 10 times, I would end up with two different countries at the end. How many have I got from the first half? I've got 1, 2, 3, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 6 seems a bit extreme. Oh, fuck it. Okay, I'm gonna put Malta through. Do you know what? Why not? This 1, 2, 3, which has never happened before, let's just say that it's going to happen. 1, 2, 3 has never qualified in the top 10 before, and I want to just go for it. I'm just going to go for it. I think this is really fun and people will fall in love with it. And I hope that this is a surprise from semi-final number 1. And I think I love that Malta's making progress. Again, this makes me feel like this is an emotional decision. Yeah, I'm sticking with it. I'm just going to put Malta through. You know, part of me is also just that I want to take a little bit of risk in this video. Like, I feel like if I don't put them through, well, it felt like Serbia and Portugal were both risky as well, but this is like my big risk. I want to put in at least kind of one fun wild call. Of course, post your predictions down below what you think. Latvia was my potential one I was going to put through. I'm putting Switzerland as a potential. Look, this can totally qualify. Do not make any bets based off of what I'm saying, because it's so hard for me to detach all the feelings and emotions that I have about all these countries. It all makes sense afterwards. Once we get the results, we'll be like, oh yeah, of course they went through and they didn't go through. But trying to predict how so many different people around Europe, and you don't know who's tuning in and you don't know what musics they like, it's so difficult. So I really do think these 8 in the borderline zone, all of them can get through. It could be any combination of that. There's so many different potential combinations. Like I said, I did this last night, it was different. Last night I had Latvia in and Netherlands in, and now I don't. And I don't know why. I had Portugal out last night. At one point I had Croatia out, I had Malta out. Leave your comment down below and we'll see who's right. And if you get all 10 right, I will do a shout out for you when I do my semi-final 1 results video. I'm just committing to this. This is too traumatic. Yeah, I just can't, it's stressing me out, I can't handle it. What do you think about my 10? Let me know which were your surprises, which you don't. Who do you think is going to be the shot on qual? We're definitely going to get at least 1. In any case, if you liked this messy analysis video and you want to see some more, I will leave some here for you to look at. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. See you in another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah.